The tea smelled different that night. Not bad. Just wrong. A faint bitterness curled beneath the steam, something metallic hiding behind the honey she always added. My wife placed the cup beside my laptop the way she did every evening, her smile soft, patient, practiced. "You work too hard," she said quietly. Her hand brushed my shoulder, light, careful, like she was afraid of breaking something. I nodded without looking at her. The porcelain clinked softly against the desk as I picked it up. But I didn't drink. Instead, I watched the small, blinking dot inside the smoke detector above the bookshelf. Most people never notice them. Tiny cameras, silent witnesses. My wife lingered in the doorway longer than usual. Waiting. I could feel it. Her eyes on the back of my head, measuring, calculating. When I finally lifted the cup toward my lips, she exhaled, barely audible. Relief. That's when I knew. Something in this house had shifted. Not suddenly, quietly, like a knife sliding between ribs. I placed the cup back down, untouched. Behind me, her footsteps retreated down the hallway, soft, careful, almost excited. And somewhere inside my chest, something cold and ancient woke up. Because 3 nights earlier, I had already watched the footage. And the woman who brought me tea every night was planning my funeral. It started with small absences. My wife had always been predictable. Routine was her religion. Morning jog, lunch with friends, evenings at home. But suddenly, there were new appointments, new errands, longer drives. When I asked, she smiled. Just helping a friend from the clinic. The clinic. Her friend, a doctor named Daniel. I didn't react. Not outwardly. Inside, though, something shifted. Not jealousy. Pattern recognition. The first real crack appeared 2 weeks later. She left her phone on the kitchen counter while showering. A message lit the screen. Daniel. "Did he drink it tonight?" Just one sentence. Cold. Clinical. My chest didn't tighten. My hands didn't shake. Instead, something inside me became very still. I locked the screen and placed the phone exactly where it had been. Then I started watching, listening, collecting. My wife began bringing me tea every night. Same ritual, same gentle smile, same careful eyes studying me as I drank. And every night, I pretended. A sip here, a swallow there. Just enough. But something in her behavior told me this wasn't about love, or even betrayal. This was planning. Structured, medical, precise. And that's when I installed the cameras. One in the living room, one in the hallway, one inside the smoke detector above my desk. Quiet, invisible, waiting. 3 nights later, the house finally told me the truth. The footage started at 11:47 p.m. I had already gone upstairs, or at least that's what she believed. My wife entered the living room slowly. Her robe brushed the floor as she walked. 30 seconds later, Daniel stepped through the front door. No knock, no hesitation. He had a key. That part didn't surprise me. What surprised me was their tone. No romance, no affection, just business. "Did he drink it?" Daniel asked. "Yes," she replied. A lie. My jaw tightened. Daniel placed a small medical kit on the coffee table. Inside were vials, clear liquids, prescription labels. He spoke calmly. "The dosage has to stay gradual. If it happens too fast, toxicology might flag it." My wife nodded. "So we continue?" "Yes." A pause. Then she said something that made my stomach turn to ice. "When he's gone, everything transfers to me." Daniel smiled. "And then we disappear." They leaned over documents together. Insurance policies, estate transfers, medical reports. Daniel had already prepared a diagnosis. A slow neurological deterioration, symptoms that would appear gradually. Confusion, fatigue, heart complications, all perfectly believable, all perfectly documented, by a doctor. And my wife sat beside him, smiling. My wife, the woman who kissed me goodbye every morning. The woman who tucked blankets around me when I fell asleep on the couch. She wasn't trembling. She wasn't conflicted. She was calm, efficient, excited. And as I watched the footage in the darkness of my office, I realized something terrifying. They thought they were the smartest people in the room. They had no idea I had already seen everything, and that meant one thing. I had time. I didn't confront them immediately. People reveal more when they believe they're safe. So for 2 weeks, I drank the tea, or pretended to. I stored samples, documented everything. Then I hired someone, a toxicologist. Quiet, professional. The results came back in a plain envelope. Digitalis, a heart medication. In small doses, harmless. In larger ones, fatal. Slow, undetectable unless someone was looking. I sat at the dining table that evening as my wife placed the tea beside me. Her smile was radiant. "How was your day?" "Productive," I said. Then I slid the envelope across the table. She frowned slightly. "What's this?" "Open it." Her fingers trembled just a little as she pulled out the report. Her eyes moved across the page and stopped. The color drained from her face. "Where did you get this?" she whispered. I watched her carefully. Daniel's name was printed at the bottom, his prescription authorization. Her lips parted. Panic flickered behind her eyes. I leaned back in my chair. Calm. Silent. Observing, because the moment had finally arrived. The moment when liars realize they were never in control. "You've been poisoning me," I said quietly. She shook her head immediately. "No, that's not—" I tapped the folder. "The lab disagrees." Her breathing quickened. "This is a misunderstanding. Daniel seems very confident in his dosage calculations." That's when the terror hit her. Real terror. "How do you know about Daniel?" I stood slowly and walked to the living room. She followed. Confused? Afraid. I picked up the remote and pressed play. The television lit up with footage from 3 nights earlier. Her. Daniel. The vials. The insurance documents. Her voice filled the room. "When he's gone, everything transfers to me." She collapsed onto the couch, white as paper. "You filmed us," she whispered. "For weeks." The front door opened behind us. 2 detectives stepped inside, along with a medical board investigator, and Daniel, handcuffed. His face was pale, broken. My wife stared at him in horror. "You told them?" she gasped. Daniel didn't answer. He just looked at the floor. I turned to her calmly. "No," I said. "I let the footage do that." The house felt quiet after they took her away. Too quiet. For years, her presence had filled every corner. Her laughter, her perfume, her careful lies. Now there was only silence. I packed slowly. Methodically. Documents, drives, the cameras, every piece of evidence that had saved my life. Outside, the sun was rising. Warm light spilled through the windows. Strange how peaceful everything looked. Betrayal rarely announces itself loudly. Most of the time, it smiles, brings you tea, waits patiently for you to die. I stepped out of the house and locked the door behind me. Not angry, not sad, just clear. Because the most dangerous thing about betrayal isn't the knife. It's the moment the victim realizes they're no longer the victim.